When you have something decentralized with no government body kind of, regulating it, you get bad actors where they cause issues like this, and a lot of people get hurt. Terra Luna, Celsius, Voyager, and then obviously we have FTT, FTX now happening. So that's the horrible side of it. And then at the same time, you're like, okay, well, now if we get regulation, then you have some government control on it, which we don't like, but at least we can get transparency, and maybe we don't get these type of shady things to go on. So it's kind of this weird give and take, like, well, what's the happy medium, and can we achieve that? But I think, honestly, if you're asking me when Bitcoin and crypto bottoms, the bottoming process is just starting now, and it will continue lower over the. For me, it's being a shorter term investor and trader. And so when we see these big dips in crypto, for instance, Quant was a trade signal that I put out. It retraced to an inverse head and shoulder technical line, and so I jumped in and then I jumped out. I think I made about 10 or 12%. And really, that's what it is. In a bear market, you can go long. You just can't get greedy, right? You have to be in and be out and respect the bear market, that eventually these things are going to come back in. So it's more about being a nimble investor. It's not for everyone. A lot of people just don't have the knowledge.
With all the market's uncertainty, today's video will be a lighthouse for many investors, especially new ones. Gareth Soloway, 20 years plus master trader and owner of InTheMoneyStocks.com and VerifiedInvestingCrypto.com, will make some bold Bitcoin price predictions as usual. But this time, he will also tell us about his vision for 2023, when the bottoms for Bitcoin will come, and how you survive the bear market. This video is one of the most important videos on the channel, so you can't miss a single second of it. So let's start with questions some of you guys have. What does affect the market, and when will the volatility end?
So number one, it's the Federal Reserve, right? And if you look at past, number one, Bitcoin started out in 2009 when the Fed began this quantitative easing policy of just printing tons and tons of money. So it was a way for there to be an alternative to the US dollar or to fiat currencies, right? So the Fed for the longest time has been a printer of fiat currency, and just more and more fiat out there, which means that Bitcoin, being a something that only has 21 million coins that can be mined, can potentially become more valuable over time. The only trouble we're in right now is the Fed has stopped printing and is actually sucking money out of the system. So it's one of those issues where, as a technical trader, I'm very aware that the Fed is no longer printing, and it could mean that we're in a little bit of a longer term bear market because of that aspect. And we have to be, as a technical trader, you want to be very aware. And you said something about how stocks affect crypto and vice versa. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. When stocks decline, investors that are holding stocks get very scared. They sell their stocks, and then they say, oh my goodness, I'm still very scared. Let me sell some of my crypto. And vice versa. When it's a risk on scenario, everyone's buying all the risk assets, including cryptocurrencies. So it's all interconnected because it's all through the same monetary system. I do think that will come. And again, the question is, when is it going to be? 2023, 2025? But I do think that there will be a point where Bitcoin specifically turns into more of a safety play, where it's more like gold, the digital gold, if you will. And I think that's where the stability really comes from. And if you look at gold goes up or down maybe 0.5% on average a day at most. And so it becomes very stable, and it kind of just increases as the dollar falls or as fiat currencies fall. So I do think we are going that way. It's just we have to respect the fact that Bitcoin is only 13 years old, right? So I always say to people, like, how stable is a 13-year-old? That, they're still really emotional. They're still kind of crazy. And that's what Bitcoin is. And so in 20 years, it's going to be super stable. It's going to be an adult. Right now, you have to just let it do its thing and kind of figure itself out.
What about the collapse of FTX? Will that scare new investors away from crypto?
Now, going to the FTX scenario, I mean, this has just been, it's heartbreaking to view because of what it does to cryptocurrency. And it makes me, part of me gets very mad at it because I love crypto and I love the long-term outlook for crypto. But another side of me says, this is the normal progression. Like if you go to the .com bubble in the late 90s, early 2000s, you had companies that got washed out, they over-leveraged themselves, and they went out of business. And it was a very Darwinian thing where the strong survived. Amazon dropped 95% in 2000, 2001, And from that point, it went up tens of thousands of percentage points after that, because it was left as one of the main entities. Think about Google, think about these other ones. And so to me, it's a normal progression. Every asset that's new goes through this, where there's a lot of junk in there. There's some shady things going on, some illegal things, and you have to get rid of them. And then once that happens, the strong survive and thrive. And so in a weird way, yes, it's no fun as an investor to be in this environment, but remember that it breeds success afterwards.
With that in mind, let's see what Gareth has to say about the bottoms coming to Bitcoin and what we can expect in 2023.
This is kind of like the double-edged sword, if you will, is that, when you have something decentralized with no government body kind of, regulating it, you get bad actors where they cause issues like this, and a lot of people get hurt. Terra Luna, Celsius, Voyager, and then obviously we have FTT, FTX now happening. So that's the horrible side of it. And then at the same time, you're like, okay, well, now if we get regulation, then you have some government control on it, which we don't like, but at least we can get transparency, and maybe we don't get these type of shady things to go on. So it's kind of this weird give and take, like, well, what's the happy medium, and can we achieve that? But I think, honestly, if you're asking me when Bitcoin and crypto bottoms, the bottoming process is just starting now, and it will continue lower over the next few months. But I think when regulation comes out, that will be when the bottom occurs. And the reason I say that is because there were a lot of big companies and big billionaires that invested in FTX, right? And they just basically just said, we just lost billions of dollars. No big money is going to go into any cryptocurrency, players now, until there's transparency. And so what that's going to do is it's going to keep a lot of money on the sidelines. Once regulation comes in, and again, I hate to say this because I know we want decentralized, we want this, this government hands off. But if we want the next bull run in crypto, we're going to have that transparency. And I think this, so number one, I do think you reach a bottom in 2023. So I do think crypto reaches a bottom. I have a couple targets. 12 to 13,000 is one target. Right. Just sub 10,000 would be my second target. So I do think the bottom is put in this year, but I think that the upside is going to be dependent on when we get that regulatory kind of clarity out there. And so I'm not sure when the US specific government will decide to regulate and give us those rules. I'm hopeful that it's in 2023, because I do think once you get that, then you can start that next bull run. But for me, it's kind of a wait and see attitude at this point.
If you're enjoying the video so far, pay attention, as Gareth Soloway will now tell you how to survive the bear market and what's his long-term outlook and portfolio distribution. His strategy is important, as it may help you decide how to allocate your wealth to good assets so you get protected in case something goes wrong.
Yeah, so for me, it's being a shorter term investor and trader. And so when we see these big dips in crypto, for instance, Quant was a trade signal that I put out. It retraced to an inverse head and shoulder technical line. And so I jumped in and then I jumped out. I think I made about 10 or 12%. And really, that's what it is. In a bear market, you can go long. You just can't get greedy, right? You have to be in and be out and respect the bear market, that eventually these things are going to come back in. So it's more about being a nimble investor. It's not for everyone. A lot of people just don't have the knowledge to do it, in which case you want to just be kind of investing in your longer term projects that you really think will survive, the ones that have less risk. Bitcoin, Ethereum, probably the most safe. So I think as an investor, you have to really decipher risk, right? So if you're investing in cryptocurrency, you have to decide, well, which are the least risky plays out there? And then that's where a majority of your money goes. So for me, it's Bitcoin is by far the one that I think in 5 years will still be around. It'll be increasing in value. Then Ethereum, amazing network, amazing things that are built on the Ethereum network. So again, I think those two are where a majority of your investment capital should go. And then what you can do is you can speculate, right? So speculate means that you put a little bit of money in a few of the ones that you kind of think might become big. And if they become big, then you make a lot of money on your little bit of money. But if they go out of business, you don't lose a whole lot. And I think that's really important, is, you have to look at it and say, any of these coins could go out of business tomorrow. How do I protect myself where I still have the upside, but I don't risk blowing up my account if it doesn't work out? And so for me, for instance, it's basically, I would say 60% Bitcoin for me, investment in like a long-term portfolio, 30% Ethereum, and then I would take that last 10% and I'd kind of just sprinkle it over a few different coins. And then again, if all those coins go bust, what's the worst that happens? I'm down 10%,
Exactly.
right?
And some final words and recommendations.
I think the biggest thing is just to remember that the markets are ruled by cycles, right? So you have greed and fear. And right now we've come off of a major period of greed where things got too overvalued. Now you're entering the fear phase of it where everything gets punished, overly punished, you could argue. And so at some point, the strong will survive and they will come back up. And again, if you have your long-term thesis and it's valid and you can list A, B, and C as major reasons why you like this project, there's nothing wrong with putting a little bit of money towards that project and letting it run and see what you can do with it.
Did you enjoy this video? Was this content valuable? Please leave a like and subscribe to catch all daily updates that may help you profit in crypto while keeping your risks at the minimum. Thank you so much for watching and see you tomorrow.